Michael agreed to fill in for Michelle Marshall to do milestones. If you'd come forward, we can open our meeting.
Bow with me, please. Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for all the blessings you provide each one of us. It is amazing the country that we live in, the people that we get to be around, the city that we live in, the Rotary Club that you've allowed us to be a part of. These are all many, many blessings and just a few of them. We thank you for each and every one of them. We ask you to give us the strength to serve others who don't have the same blessings that we have. For it's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ladies and gentlemen, our milestones. Member birthdays: David Mastering, February the 10th. Curtis Wren, February the 11th. Natasha Dramgool's husband, Rosh Han, February 8th. Rodney Morales' wife, Andrea, February the 11th. Anniversaries: Jeff and Lizzie Cartridge, February the 13th, 3 years. Club anniversaries: Jeff Cartledge, 2 years, February the 10th. Vanessa Red, 4 years, February the 13th. Salute.
Okay, if you brought a guest, would you please stand and introduce your guest?
Good afternoon, Rotarians. I have as my guest for the second time, he was with us last week, Will Boughton. He's with Vera Bank, former Rotarian in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and is now a resident of our fine city. Welcome, Will.
Okay, are there any visiting Rotarians? All right. Well, thank you all for being here. We appreciate that. Julian Grant, you wanted to make an announcement. Is Julian here? There he is, okay.
This will be extremely quick, but I just wanted to again mention something about youth services that we'll be looking for a sponsor for Georgetown Eastview High School Interact Club next year. If you are interested in that, that would be next year, but you could always go this year, of course, if you want to work that in beforehand, but just see me.
Thank you, Julian. Also, we have a ramp build, I guess tomorrow, right, Myra? So if you're interested in to see Myra after the meeting today, and she'll give you all the information on that. And David, you have an announcement? Okay, come on up. And then David, do you have an announcement today of any kind for membership? Okay.
Just a reminder for the blood drive, March 1st. And it's going to be here, sign-up sheets over here. If you can't give blood, just bring a friend. We'll take theirs and we'll do it. Thanks.
Okay, great. Georgianne is going to introduce our program today, so we got through those pretty quickly this morning. And I think there she comes right now. All right.
Good afternoon. Every once in a while we have a little bit of a scheduling issue with our programs, and I'm very pleased today that I was able to secure someone who actually has been to this Rotary Club before and is a friend, has coached me before, and I think you will find that he has a lot to offer. Jim Comer is an on-stage strategist. He's a speaker, an author, a speech coach, and communication consultant. He works with people who want to be more confident, persuasive speakers in their profession and in their personal lives. He has more than 25 years of experience in working with Fortune 500 companies and has coached 6 CEOs as well as candidates for governor of Texas and Lieutenant Governor of California. Jim has spoken to audiences in 25 states, Canada, and Mexico with talks on communication, how to survive caregiving with sanity and a sense of humor. His work as a writer includes How to Survive a Roommate, a book about his early days as an actor in New York that landed him on the Today Show. And afterwards, he probably won't have time to tell you this story, but afterwards asking him about this story about him interviewing Jane Pauley. His book, When Roles Reverse, A Guide to Parenting Your Parents, was nominated by the Texas Writers League as Best Nonfiction Book. Jim is an award-winning speaker in Toastmasters, a bungee jumper, with a video to prove it, and a veteran of 6 quiz shows, including Jeopardy! This week I had the opportunity to speak to someone who Jim had recently coached, and he said that Jim not only helped him improve his speech, the speech came out great, exactly as this gentleman had hoped, but he said what Jim taught him benefited him well beyond the speech, and he knows it will for many years to come. Rotarians, buckle up. Jim Comer.
Now that's what I call a good introduction. My mama could not have done better than that, although she would have tried. I've got to begin by telling you, first of all, my uncle, Bill Stump Sr., was a member of this club for, 50 years maybe. He was here until I think the last year of his life at 94. So I heard about this club forever. And then about 19 years ago, I spoke to you on communication skills. And maybe there's still 1 or 2 people that were here that day. It's a day I will never forget, and I'm going to tell you why. My father and mother were living across the street about 2 blocks down at the old Wesleyan retirement home. And when you all invited me to speak to you, I thought, God, it's a chance for me to show off to my dad. He can come and he can see me speak and do so, you know how we always want our parents to feel good about us. So I got Dad and I picked him up before the speech. We drove the 4 blocks here. I pulled over on the side. I was so excited about getting here. And of course, without looking, I opened the door into the street, right into another car. Took the door almost off, scratched the whole side of their car. Well, you can imagine how impressed my father was. Really? Here's the worst part. The woman whose car I hit was serving lunch here. So not only did I hit her car, I had to see her face when I got my lunch and pay for that side of her car. So I'm never going to forget my first time with you. Today has so far gone better. What I want to talk to you about today is just basically speaking in public, whether it's in a large group, a medium-sized group, a small group, maybe at work, or at a Sunday school, or at a nonprofit, wherever you need to communicate. The basic principles are always the same. And it all starts out with the fact that speaking in public is considered a very frightening thing. You know, the Gallup poll and Washington Post, they do the annual surveys of what Americans are most afraid of. And speaking in public comes in number 1, ahead of death and maiming. Really? Would you rather be maimed or speak in public? Tell me the truth. Maimed, speak in public. Which one? Maimed, oh, she'll speak. I'm so glad. But you know, there are people in this room who will not say it out loud, who would almost rather die or have an arm twisted on than have to speak in public. That's the kind of fear we're talking about. Let me do a little survey here. How many of you, and be honest now, how many of you enjoy speaking in public? Raise your hands. Can we get a picture? This is history making. I have spoken all over the country. I've never seen that many hands go up any place in America. You are one of a kind. At least half the hands in the room went up. Well, I don't know what I'm going to be able to say to you. I'll try to give that hand I'll try to get that very confident half some tips. But my heart goes out to the hands that did not go up just then. You are my people. And I want you to know that everybody in here can be an effective speaker if you do primarily one thing. And that is to let your individuality come out. The person that you are when you're with your friends and family and the people who really know and like you. That person, the way you are with those people is the real you. That is you at your best. It's your individuality. If you can bring that person with you when you get up to speak, whether it's to a group this size or bigger, or to whether it's a group of Sunday school people that you're giving a lesson for, bring that same individuality and it's going to transform everything. And yet, is that what most people do? Now, clearly, most people in this room do it. But out there in real life, say in your business life, haven't you seen people totally change when they get in front of a group? What that is that fear we were just talking about. What happens when we have to speak in front of a group often is that we are so eager to be perfect, and I'm saying that in quotes, perfect, to, quote, not make a mistake, right? We don't want to embarrass ourselves in front of our boss, our coworkers, the preacher, whoever, that we don't bring our full selves with us. We leave that person off stage. That interesting, dynamic, vulnerable, funny, human individual. Don't bring that person with us. You know you've seen that. Instead, we do something often that I call plea bargaining with God. You ever done that? This is what it looks like. Right before you go on, you're off to the side. You're going, okay, God, hey, me, it's Jim. Okay, Georgetown has asked me to speak to this Rotary Club that's a heavy hitters in Georgetown. I really don't want to embarrass her. I want to be good. Please, would you just help me? That's plea bargaining with God. I can tell you from personal experience, does not work. God has got more important things to deal with. Congress comes to mind. God is not going to answer that plea. So what most people do is, as I said, they get careful. And they don't use what I call our natural resources. All the things that make us that interesting individual. Here's some examples of natural resources. Eye contact. I've been making eye contact with people in this room ever since I got out here. I'm making eye contact all the time. Body language. Well, as you can tell, I have a lot of body language. I do. That's me. That's natural to me. Doesn't mean you have to have the same kind of body language or as much, but we've all got some. Mine comes naturally. I don't plan any of it, but I let it happen. Vocal variety. Now, you all had those teachers that did not have any vocal variety and they talked like this, and pretty soon everybody was kind of napping. Well, that's what you don't want. We want the vocal variety that you really have when you're excited about something. When you're talking about football, or when you're talking about your favorite movie, or food that you really like, or anything that gets you excited. That person. That kind of vocal variety. Not the careful kind. And then hands, how we use our hands. How we pause. Isn't that great? No one died during that pause. And I can't tell you how many speakers I work with, including CEOs, where if there's a pause, they think, oh, I can't do that. They'll think something's wrong. No, they won't. You'll draw them in if you pause. Just the opposite of what some people think. Okay, vocal variety, pauses. You know, a big one, smiling. I need to tell you this. I have worked with people who are getting up in front of 500 and they're opening a day and they'll get up and say, I'm so glad to be here today. We're going to have a really good time. Did you believe that? How could you believe that? You cannot say the words, I am so glad to be here. We're going to have a really good time, unless you show it in your face and in your tone of voice as well as the words. Anybody can do the words. It's the whole person that we want. It's got to look like this. I am so glad to be here today. We're going to have a really good time. I guarantee it. See, that was in my voice. It was in my face. It was in my hands. All of me was saying we're going to have a good time. And then therefore, you're more likely to believe it when it's the full person, not just words on a page. Another thing that people do when they're nervous, it's really good to be here today. And as I look at your faces, am I looking at their faces? They do that, they hide behind podiums, they hide behind scripts, and worst of all, and I know you've seen this, anybody in business has seen this, to the point where they want to die. Terrible PowerPoint. Who's seen terrible PowerPoint? Come on now. If you're living, you've seen terrible PowerPoint. Do you notice that I don't have any PowerPoint? There's a reason for that. I want to connect with you. I want us to form a connection, not you connecting with my slides. Because the truth is, the majority of PowerPoint is pretty terrible. It is. It just is. And people put all these bullet points. I mean, I have seen literally people get up with 50 or 60 PowerPoints with 4 or 5 bullet points per slide. Let's do the math. 5 times 60, 300. Really? 300 bullet points? That's just crazy. But it's just fear. Because the person is saying to themselves many times, well, if I have a lot of stuff going on my PowerPoint, they won't have to look at me. I can hide behind my PowerPoint. And I know there are people in this room who have done it. And I know lots of people have seen it. I say PowerPoint is a good assistant if you treat it that way. If you use it sparingly and with big fonts so people who are over 40 can read it, right? Because we all know what happens. On our 40th birthday, we go semi-blind. You know, I've been in rooms like this where the PowerPoint's up there, and I'm going, and then can you read that PowerPoint? And if he's over 40, he doesn't know either. Why would you ever do that to an audience? Why would you give an audience a communal eye exam? Not a kind thing to do. So let me just talk about a couple of what I call those natural resources. Let's start with eye contact. Because if you're really making eye contact, you know who's with you and who isn't. And I am happy to say, I do not see one person in this room using their phone. Thank you, Jesus! Oh, that's so good. Because I have been in rooms where they're trying to sneak it down at the side, trying to look at the phone, you've done it. Anyway, see, he's nodding, he has done it. But you see, if you're making eye contact, you can see whether they're smiling, whether they're with you, whether they're nodding. It is so great. And then you can adjust what you're doing and saying to fit what you're seeing. Because if I'm looking, I gotta tell you, if I was looking around and I wasn't seeing these wonderful, nice faces looking at me like you're doing, if I didn't see that, I would do something to change things. I might jump up and down, I might run around, I would change my book, I would do something to try to bring you back or to get you. But if you're not doing eye contact, you won't be doing that if your face is buried in a script. So connecting. I wrote jokes when as you heard, I did almost everything I could do, including waiting tables. She didn't tell you the unglamorous stuff. The driving cabs, the painting apartments, the walking dogs, all those things I did when I was an actor. Well, one of the things I did was to write some jokes for Joan Rivers and some for Phyllis Diller. Remember who Phyllis Diller was? First female comic to really make it. Really, really nice lady. Here's what she told me the one time we got together. She said, Jim, comedy is like ping pong. I ping, but if the audience doesn't pong, there ain't no comedy. Isn't that true? And the same thing is true for speakers. Whether you're in a small group meeting at work, a bigger meeting, a nonprofit group, wherever you are. If you're pinging out there and there's no ponging coming back to you, then you need to do something to reconnect or to connect in the first place or engage. And that's what will happen if you're really paying attention. Eye contact is essential. Here's a secret. I don't want to tell this to a lot of people. What I do is I find faces like yours who's feeding me right here, feeding me, feeding your right face, smile. Definitely speaking to you. He's great. I find people all around the room who are giving me something. A smile, a nod. I know they're with me. And those are the people I speak to. And everybody around them thinks I'm speaking to them. See, they don't know. The point of that is, I get energy from the people who are, it gives me great, and I pay no attention. If it's only a few, I do not pay attention to the ones who are doing this. Because you're going to have some of those in every group. You don't know what's going on with them. They just might have gotten a bad review from their boss. There may be sickness at home. They may have gas. You don't know. Don't make up stories. Just bless them internally and don't worry about it. Now, if 2/3 of the audience looks that way, you've got words. But don't think that'll happen. So eye contact is really your friend. And yet, when we're nervous, here's what people do. Here's what happens when you're nervous often. Instead of really being with you, I do, like God is going to give us some lines up here to say. Or, wonderful to talk to you today. No, the audience is not here, nor is it here. Those are places we go when we're scared. The audience is here. And stay with them. And even if something goes wrong, and for a moment or two you forget something or lose your place, if you stay with them and pause, it may come right back to you. And the audience has never seen you go away. They've never seen you get nervous. Eye contact is essential. I guess the single biggest question I ever get, I've heard this hundreds of times, it is, what do I do with my hands? Right? Everybody thinks that when they get up to speak in public, they have to do something different with their hands rather than being in life. Duh, no! This is just life in front of other people. So let me show you. Okay, here I am in life, and where do my hands go? To the side. They go to my side like they normally do. Why? Because of something called gravity. Gravity takes my hands here. Leave them there until you need them. And then use them, back to where gravity takes them. They don't have to go any place weird like here. Guys love to do that. We'll ask why. Or here, Napoleon. Or here. I'm a cool guy now. No, I don't do any of those things in real life. Why would I do them when I get up here? Don't do anything unusual with your hands. And if you're behind a podium, which sometimes you have to be, let them go right here. Up, use them, down, but not, no place weird. Just simple. That'll save you so much anxiety if you know that you don't have to do anything unusual with your hands. And as for movement, here's what I see a lot. People are talking, and they're doing this. They have no idea they're doing it. But and instead of me focusing on their message, sadly, I'm going, why is he moving like that? We make up stories, right? You know, you've seen that? They're wandering. And it's just that nervous energy which has now gone down here. And the feet are driving you rather than taking a stand, speaking. And then when I have a reason to move here, I move here. And if I have a reason that we all can see, I move here. And then I move here. Like out there. See, the audience will think it's great if they see you moving with a reason, but not nervous energy. I also see what I call the rockers and the rollers. They do this, or they do this, or the ones that go up and forward. Don't have the slightest idea they're doing it. But it makes us wonder what's happening. So often the best advice I can give to a client is take a position and stay there until there's a reason to move. Then you can move. Okay, great. I'm loving the fact that we got all this time. Okay, well, you saw when I got up here that the first thing I did was to do what? What's the very first thing I did when I got here? Well, how did I spend my first 2 minutes? Here, come on, whoa! What? Talked about my uncle, then I talked about what? For about 2 minutes I talked about?
Wrecking your car.
Wrecking my car. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm so glad you're here. Everybody else went to you, not you. David, you're a wonderful person. Okay. I like David very much. He's my new favorite person. Okay. Microphone, thank you. Now see? That's perfect. I'm so glad I didn't remember that. Did the world end because I forgot my microphone? Did it? Has my speech been ruined? No. Just showed I was human. It's okay to be human. It's okay to make a little mistake and fix it. Perfectly okay. Now, going back to the beginning, I started out by telling you a story, a true story, and a story which connected me to this group, gave me some history here, but the most important thing about my story was I kidded myself. If you want to connect with an audience, find a way to tell a true story where you poke a little fun at yourself. Audiences respond to that because of the fact that they think, wow, he's not trying to be highfalutin. He's just telling it like it is. He's joking about his own screw-ups. And of course, I have so many to choose from. I have a wide panel, do I not? She knows. I have a lot to choose from. Things happen all the time. But I gotta tell you, audiences love it when you are real, when you're vulnerable, when you have some fun with them. And then if they hear you do that, then they go, wow, maybe I could tell that story that I have never told a group. Here's the deal. You have got great stories. Every single person in this room has got phenomenal stories. And I can hear voices right now saying to themselves, oh no, I don't. Oh no, he doesn't know me. I don't have any stories. That is not true. If you have parents, you have a story. You got siblings, story. Children, oh wow, stories. A spouse or a partner, stories. A pet. High school years, college years, fraternity, military, first job, first time you got fired, second job. I won't say second time you got fired, but you get my drift? First and maybe only marriage. Maybe not. Second, you've got stories, travel, adventure, mistakes made and overcome. Now that is gold if you want to be a good speaker. If you'll get up in front of an audience, and this is especially true in any kind of business or nonprofit, if you'll be honest with them and talk about a time where you did something that you thought was so good and it just didn't turn out. But then tell them what you learned from it and how you've applied that learning to the rest of your life. Well, that is a that is a perfect story. Because A, I connect to you. I think, God, he's so honest. I wish I could be like that. I want to be like that. I want to share my real stuff. And then you've learned something. How did they take a negative and turn it into a positive? And then move on with that in life. That is a great story, and everybody in here has that kind of a story in some place in your life. If you have the courage to tell it. What I have learned is that, imagine right here, in the middle of the room, this is each one of you, this is each of your story pile, your pile of stories from your life, right? Here's what most people do. Not touching that. Too real. Too personal. You're smiling, no. Too vulnerable. What might they think of me? Right? So many people never touch this communication gold that is their personal stories. And yet, the great speakers always, always, always use those stories. And that's true across the board. Let's just name a few. Who's some great speakers? People you admire. Holler out to them. Name a speaker you admire.
Ronald Reagan.
Ronald Reagan. That's a good one right there. Excellent speaker. Tony Robbins. Well, I can't hear him. What?
Bill Clinton.
Bill Clinton. Excellent speaker.
Paul Harvey.
Paul Harvey. What a long, long career. Reagan. Yes. How about some women? We had a great governor here that was one of the best speakers I ever heard. Who am I thinking of? Ann Richards. Had the all-time best timing of almost anybody I know. She was phenomenal. In fact, she got her whole career from one speech. You may remember it. She did the keynote to the Democratic Convention in 1988, and she was very real with her Texas accent and big hair and funny jokes, and she was not like any keynote speaker they'd ever heard. And 2 years later, she was elected governor. Because of that one speech, and because she dared to be who she really was. And it resonated with lots of people. All the great speakers, no matter what party they're in, what religion they're in, they all use personal stories to help make their point. You see, your stories, nobody else has them. They're yours alone. There's not one other human being on the planet that has your stories. If you use them. And then, boy, that was a perfect timing. She just gave me my little signal, because what I was going to do was go from stories into letting you use your stories. So my last 5 minutes today is going to be your 5 minutes. Here's what I want us to do. I want everybody to stand up. I want you, everybody stand up. Everybody. No exceptions. Everybody stand up. And I want you to find a partner and stand opposite them like this. Find a partner at your table or across. Everybody get a partner. Find one if you don't have one. Get a partner, everybody, right now. Okay, stand on this. Oh, I love being tall. Okay, does everybody have a partner? Everybody got a partner? Okay, here's what I want you to do. Now, I want you to use all the stuff I've been talking about. I want you to be your total, full, individual self. I want you to use body language. I want you to use vocal variety. I want you to have fun. And each of you's got a minute and a half. A minute and a half for one, and then a minute and a half for the other. And you're just going to talk to your partner. And here's what you're going to tell them. You're going to tell them with as much specifics and fun as you can the worst experience of your professional life. The worst, not the best, the worst. And you know you've got one. Whatever came to your mind first, that was it. Tell your partner with as much personal experience as you can, the worst expression, okay? And after 90 seconds, we'll switch. And the other person will tell you, get ready, get set, go! Okay, we got people who don't want to sit down. They're still talking. I love it. Great. Can I everybody have a seat?
Okay, this is going to drive me crazy.
Oh, okay, we don't want me to fall on that. Great. Okay, how did that feel? How did it feel? Pretty good? Yeah. Here's what I saw, and I moved all around the room. Here's what I saw. I saw people moving and using their bodies. I saw lots of smile. I saw laughter. I saw just people being free and really connected. That is the individual that I've been talking about. That is the full you that you can bring with you when you speak to any group. Now, depending on the group, you may use more or less of yourself, but the point is you've always got that interesting, lively, full individual to bring with you if you just have the courage to do it. And I guarantee you, if you start coming up as your full self, using all of your natural resources and your stories, you're going to like it. You're going to like it because it's so rich and interesting. It's fun for you, and it's also fun for your audience. So bring that person with you. It's been such fun to be with you today. I didn't know how much time I've had, and thank you for giving me some extra minutes. I'm going to close with where I began. My daddy. He's been gone a while now, but I want to think that compared to the open door day, I'm going to think that he is just looking down on us today and going, "Okay, Jim!" Thank you. And I've got contact information here if any of you'd like to talk to me. Thanks.
Jim, thank you so much. We have a book that I'd like for you to sign. It's a practice of our club to have our speakers sign the book, and then we donate it to Pearl Elementary.
Great.
So we'll have you do that before you leave.
Happy to.
Thank you. Okay, are there any other announcements? Nathan? Golf committee meeting today, right afterwards. Okay, great. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
I want to make sure I get the date right. Yes. On Friday, the 22nd of March, the students in the Rotary Club at the Southwestern University are going to plant a sign right in front of the trees they planted last year. And the more Rotarians who are there to share that moment with them, the better it will be for them and for us. And I'm going to try and get the Williamson County Sun to be there to, write about it as well. So if you're, and we're doing it at 11 o'clock, so you show up over there at 11 o'clock, you help them plant the sign, you get your picture made, and then you come over here for the meeting. So 22nd of March.
What's the date?
22nd of March. 22nd of March.
All right, you'll remind us of that, because that's a ways off and we'll forget. Thank you. Any other announcements?
Hey, what?
Okay, if you all would please join me in the things we think, say, and do. First. Second. Third.
Will and other friendships
And fourth.
will be beneficial to all concerned.
Thank you.